So, welcome to King of the Hill Clear Cut B15. Oh, I should probably stream my game on Discord too, huh? B15D. I will admit, King of the Hill is not my forte, so what I might say here could be contradictory to what, like, a mentor might say to you. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. First, I'm gonna go over callouts, and then we're gonna go over rollouts, and then we're gonna talk about like basic strategy for how to play the map, because there aren't really many differences between pushing and defending. It's just, push into the point or defend the point. So callouts from spawn, we have left on the very left, main is middle, and right is the right. If we come through the right side, I always forget, sorry, excuse me. I always forget what this top right area is called, but you'll usually, like, never hear it called out anyways during a match. Isn't this clear cut? Yeah, didn't I say clear cut? King of the Hill clear cut B15D. Anyways, from main, this entire area here in front of us, behind this house in front, is, I believe, yard or grass or main, whatever you want to call it, whatever your team wants to call it. You got some boxes over there. Directly in front of main is saw, and the reason this house structure is called saw is because there's a saw blade in front of it. On top, to the left, is bats, or I used to call it China, but I think teams nowadays just call it bats. You got a doorway through bats, again, it's just an extension of bats. And I believe teams call this like kill box or something. I call it bottom left. So let's move from right to left. From right, we have valley. This grassy dirt area on the very right side is valley. You have another rock, which is a very common trap spot, and to your right side there's a wall here, which is another very common trap spot. So as you're pushing through valley back into the point, you have to clear those two areas for any traps, or else, your medic just walks in and dies. Moving towards the left, again we have saw. We have in front of saw, but this is just like an extension of valley, or you can just call it main, because main is middle. You got a shed. Let's see. I call this tower. I forget what other people call this area. There's like a spiral staircase here. It's just like an extension of tower. And on the very left, we have trench. Just the dirt area here is trench. And again, I forget what people call this area. It could be concrete. I just have an extension of trench. Just like this entire area, I group it together. Finally, in the very center, or not finally, because there's more. In the very center, we have the point and crate or box. This is usually what people refer to when they say crate or box. And again, it's another very common trap spot right here. So as you're walking forward across the point, you have to clear that or else you die. And then on either side of the point, these are the two houses. So this is our house versus their house, or you can call it red house, blue house. On top of the house is roof. This will only ever be called roof. And in the back side of house, we have either toxic, or you can just call it wood, or just it's an extension of house, whatever your team wants to call it. And of course, in the back side of house is backdoor. So those are all of the callouts. Now we will go over the rollouts. Soldiers in demo have a few different rollouts they can do. It's just whatever you're most comfortable with. There's, of course, 3 doorways here, so there's 3 rollouts for demos and soldiers. I believe the most common ones I see is you as demo man, trying to place a sticky towards this top left here. You're aiming to hit a ramp slide on that first set of stairs, but I'm kind of bad at demo man. You get the point though. As a demo main, you would place sticky high up, try to go horizontal, ramp slide right here, and then you swerve to the left to grab this health pack. And then if you want to, this is optional, you can do another sticky jump just to get more forward towards the point and get here first. But again, that's optional. After you pick up this health pack, you can just walk around the corner, charge your sticky, shoot across. It does the exact same thing, but you arrive with more health coming into middle. So another, oh, of course, obviously you do the one sticky jump in spawn, right, as Demoman. Another one is going into main. So again, you try to hit your sticky high, try to go horizontal, because I believe those bars are physical. Yeah, you saw my roller bounce off that, so you have to avoid those. Another sticky jump from main to left or right, grabbing the health pack, and then same idea, charge your sticky, shoot across. Now you're on mid. The left side rollout, I almost never see Demoman do it. I have no clue how to do it. Don't worry about that one. You're mostly going to use either main or right side, whatever you're most comfortable with. So soldiers. Both of you, in King of the Hill, both of you stay in spawn. Pocket Soldier, you can do the Pocket Soldier rollout, but it's okay on King of the Hill specifically if both of you just wait and spawn, get 300 overheal from your medic. So, typically, what you see a lot of soldiers do is they roll out right side, and they're doing a double ramp slide. So you do like a right wall jump into a pogo, and that gives you enough speed to ramp slide up both of those staircases. Let's see if I can do it. Something like that. And from here, you have different options depending on what your role is. So Pocket Soldier, you could just walk up, get like maybe 230 overheal buff from your medic as he comes through. Then you can jump up to the roof or whatever. You could just like be around quarter, ready to double bomb if you want, or you can jump to shed. You have a bunch of different options for starting positions. Roamer is a little more complicated because when you're on the right side, you're not doing your job as Roamer. Roamer is supposed to be on the opposite side of the combo, which would be on the left. So since you rolled out right side, you have to get over to the left somehow, and which means you're going to have a lot less health coming into middle. So another rollout for both soldiers is through main, right? You're just following your demo man. One jump, and then from main, jump to either side depending on what your role is. So like Pocket Soldier could jump towards this health pack if your demo man didn't pick it up. Then you go out right side. Roamer, you would just jump towards the left. Better than I would do. You grab this health pack if your demo man didn't pick it up, and now you're on the left. Obviously, you want to be on high ground, so if you're already full health, then you could just jump up to bats instead. And now you're on high ground shooting down onto people. You can also just do a strafe jump towards the side, get onto this post, and then you can shoot down onto the demo maybe. And finally, this is only for roamers. You can do the left side rollout where you do a left-handed jump out the spawn door and pogo or ramp slide on this staircase. Usually you're going to hit a pogo like right in the doorway. And then you hit another ramp slide on that coal patch. But if you do it like perfectly, then you're going to go over the barrel. Of course, I suck at rocket jumping, so I'm never going to get it on footage. Let's see. No. One more try. So something like that, but you hit a ramp slide there, and now you're just on the left side already. Alright, so that's the rollouts for the explosive classes. For Scout and Medic, you're just walking, right? I believe the fastest route for every class is just to go through main. So you just walk through main, then you go through saw, and now you're on middle. So this is more of the direct route where you're like already in their face, but the enemy demoman could already be like placing stickies here. So if you want to take a safer but slower route, then either from main, like you roll out from main, you go right side, or you just immediately go right side, it doesn't matter. Again, main is just a little bit faster getting to mid. Then you walk up in valley. Now you're on mid. So you have this wall to protect you, but you also can't see them either. Alright. So let's place... Any questions on the rollout, I should ask? Rollout or callouts?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, the heal order for medics, is it the same as 5 CP?
A little bit, yeah. So it's gonna be you getting on your demo man. So you heal him to 260. Both of your soldiers are going to be crouching in spawn. And so once your Demoman's out of beam range, you're going to try to heal both of your soldiers up to 300. And then you just latch onto your scout for the rest of the way.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Alright, so let me place some ragdolls down. Your Demoman is going to be playing center here, like either side, whatever, just shooting across point. You have your pocket scout nearby with your medic also nearby. Your pocket soldier is going to be around your Demoman somewhere, like on some sort of high ground, but trying not to take any damage, and then your flank people are going to be on the left side, however they want to position. Every middle is going to be different, but for soldiers especially, you want to try not to take damage early on the mid fight, because you want to set up for that double bomb. Product, clear cut, and not so much bagel, but still king of the hill. Double bombs are very powerful. Sending in only one soldier, very weak. Sending in both soldiers, very strong. So the less damage you take, the better your double bomb is going to do. So some general tips here, starting out. Any soldier who stands on this high ground, this is the highest point on the map that you can stand on, the roof. So it is a very powerful spot. You can shoot down onto the enemy team, and since it's sloped like towards your team, it's hard for their soldiers to hit you. However, since this is the highest ground and most threatening position for the enemy team, they will shoot back at you. So this is kind of a double-edged sword for soldiers standing on this roof. You can shoot down onto them, but they will be focusing you down to get you off of the roof. Like maybe their flank is trying to do something over here, they 2v1 you, and now you're dead. So how I counter that as pocket soldier is I stand on this shed instead. This is going to be my initial starting spot. I still have a lot of vision, I can still shoot down onto the enemy combo, and I can see when their flank comes up to my roof. And if they do come up to my roof, then I just counter bomb them. And then, I shoot down onto them and they get them off of my roof. So that's how I start out as Pocket Soldier. Roamer, it's a little bit more tricky because you're always on the low ground. The only high ground you have is either on bats or on this fence post, but, you don't have very much movement in either case. Like, you have a roof above you, you have walls to both sides of you, there's no footwork on this fence post, so if you ever drop down, you're always going to be on the low ground. So roamers, you want to be playing with your flank scout and coordinating with your demo man, especially on clear cut here. Like you tell your demo man, hey, shoot a few stickies onto their roof, I'm gonna go bomb it. And then your demo man does that, you jump up here, now you take space for your team and you're shooting down onto them. This is a very powerful tactic where you are either forcing them to look at you on their roof, or you get free close-up damage onto them, right? So you're taking their roof because your demo men got people off, shoot down onto them, your team walks across and you collapse onto them. Same thing with Blink Scout though, you'd be following up with your roamer, try to take their roof together. If that's not working out for you, then as roamer, you can jump behind. And it's not just a roamer play to jump behind, Pocket Soldier can also do it. You just have to coordinate with your team saying, hey, I'm going to go behind this middle. So the way you get behind is, you just walk up to the tower here on the left or right side, it doesn't matter. I prefer the left side because I'm right-handed. You don't mess up the rocket jump, for sure. That's not what you want to do. Right wall jump, left wall jump. If you hit it correctly, you're going to go flying all the way behind them from your left side. The way to get behind for Pocket Soldier, or if you're on the right side, is you use the high wall above your house. So you can jump up, right, left. If you don't, there's like some stupid clipping on this tower. this barrel thing, if you hit your head on that or you like nudge against it, you kind of fuck up your jump. So jumping too good can fuck yourself over. But you know, you just get behind them pretty easily. Now the reason why you would go behind as a soldier, and only one of them, you would only send one soldier behind, is to either draw attention back towards you, or if the enemy team does not like hunt you down, they're just ignoring you, then you can recollapse from behind with your team. So if no one's chasing you behind, you can say, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm going to jump in 3 seconds. And then 3 seconds later, you jump forward onto the enemy medic from behind, your team walks forward, and you're crunching the enemy team. So it's very powerful for one soldier to get behind if the enemy team doesn't deal with it. If they do deal with it, typically they're going to send back their roamer and their flank scout. Okay, so you should be expecting that if you ever go behind. You should expect you to be taking a 1 versus 2, right? In this situation, since your roamer pulled 2 people back, the middle is now a 5 versus 4 situation in favor for your team. So again, you can just walk forward onto them, collapse using your numbers advantage. What that looks like is different for every mid-fight. King of the Hill, in my opinion, is like 60% damage heavy. If you lack in damage, you're probably going to lose, okay? So just taking this team fight here, you really need to be coordinating, focus firing people down, like shooting the same person. Because if you're spreading your damage and you're not getting any kills, it's more likely that you're going to lose this mid-fight. Alright. So those are the general tips. Again, not again. Just the usual stuff. If your demo man's hitting massive damage, then both of your soldiers can be like, hey, let's bomb off of that. You have a lot of high walls to jump off of. Like, you can use their tower to go pretty high onto them. Just send both of your soldiers in whenever your team is ready to. Say that you're bombing in, that way your team is all on the same page. Just the usual sixes stuff. And again, DM heavy. If you lack DM, then you're probably going to lose. Let's see. So those are the tips for getting aggressive on the mid-fight. Let's talk about getting passive on the mid-fight. So if they send their soldier behind, usually you send your... where is it? That's the wrong color. Your roamer and your flank scout back to go deal with him. So if you notice that their soldier bombs on your left side a lot and goes behind on your left, then instead of your flank scout going through main, through saw I mean, and then getting to middle, he can come up onto bats from the saw house, jump on these boxes, or if you have winger, you can just jump onto the wall directly. And then you have a double jump to get onto this wall. This is a pretty good spot for a scout to be to watch and deny soldiers who bomb behind on the left. Like, they're bombing over your head, you just meat shot them out of the sky. They bomb behind you, you just drop down, you're shooting down onto them, they die, right? So this is a good spot to counter a soldier bombing behind you on the left. If they go behind you on the right, that's a little bit more tricky. In this case, you'll probably send your pocket soldier back because he's going to be closer. And, you know, pocket soldier and flank scout, I mean. And then just take a 2v1 onto him, jump back into the mid-fight as soon as he dies. Alright. Okay. Let's talk about the no feed lines. So right here, this line on the point, never cross that if you're a demo man. As soon as you cross the point as demo man, their scouts can just walk at you, you die. Their demo man places stickies behind you, you die. So you want to be playing your side of the point, try to deal damage. If there's people on their roof, throw a couple stickies up there, get them off of their roof, right? Try to keep them at bay, and same thing, if they walk across the point, then you can do the same thing to them. Sticky behind them, they back up, they die. Call any damage you do. If you hit a pipe on the medic, that's a good indication that your soldiers can go in for a double bomb, alright? Let's see. I guess I'll talk about medic for like a couple sentences. Your medic gets double bombed. You have a few good places to surf to if you're able to surf. You should always be looking at the airspace like this. That way you can see if any like soldiers are bombing you. And then your scouts should intercept them, and if they don't, they shoot a rocket at your feet. You're able to surf behind, and if you can strafe pretty well in the air, you can just land on this health pack in main. If you surf to the left, it's a little bit more risky because then one of their scouts can like just jump off the roof and chase you. But you can surf to the left here, go behind the wall. You have a health pack here. So there's a couple of good spots for you to surf as medic if you're able to surf. You probably never want to like surf with your back against the wall because these walls extend pretty high and then a soldier can just splash it. And if you surf into Saw, you gotta make sure that you're running all the way, because if you delay here and your scouts can't kill the soldiers fast enough, they land like right here, shoot you, and you die anyways, so. Scouts be on top of that, medics surf towards health packs. Alright. Any questions about the mid-fight? King of the Hill isn't my forte, like I said. In my opinion, it's mostly damage. But any questions about like those tips or standing positions or questions about basic strategy? Okay. Then I will talk about what happens when you own the point. So I think the first cap on any point, sorry, on any King of the Hill map denies the first spawn wave for your team. There is some sort of time range that I'm not sure about yet, because sometimes it denies your team, sometimes it doesn't. But you should just assume first cap denies your spawners, okay? Knowing that, whoever owns the point has longer respawn times. So if you have people who are dead, who are like still on the respawn timer, delay capping the point until those people are alive, and then you cap the point. Or else, you just extend their respawn timer, right? Anyways, when you own the point, there's a few different positions you can be in. You're going to have a soldier on their roof. You could have a scout up here as well. Soldier on your roof and a scout up here as well if you want to. Usually this is going to be the pocket scout who sticks back. You got your medic like in between these two groups, and your demo man is watching a trap somewhere. Common trap spots, let me get on demo actually. Common trap spots are this crate, just all over the crate. You got the staircase on the very right side in trench. The bottom part of this fence post and the very top, because as they're walking in, they don't really see it. They turn this corner and then they die. Along the platform in front of Saw, the rock, this left wall, common trap spot. Sometimes you might see it on the upper doorway in bats, but probably not. Usually it's going to be like in these corners. And if they did not fix the clipping, then you'd also see it like in these corners. So this is why they call it kill box, by the way. It's very small, traps everywhere, easy for soldiers to shoot rockets in here. You just take so much damage if you walk through it. Alright. So now that I've shown you the common trap spots, you should always expect them there. Clear those spots so your medic doesn't die. Anyways. These are the positions you'd hold if it was even Ubers. And the enemy team is now starting to plan their push back into the point. This roamer, it's usually the roamer on the top left, all you're doing is watching the left side, watching their valley, and once they start coming in, you start shooting at them. Like, all you're doing here is spotting this area, calling it out, hey, they're pushing from the left, shooting rockets, and trying to delay them for as long as you can. You will not hold this position. This is not the position to hold. If you die here, it's really bad for your team. So all you're doing is trying to slow them down for as long as you can. Once they make it pretty far or you're starting to feel a lot of pressure onto you, then you just jump away. You can jump all the way back and grab a health pack if you want. The right side, this soldier is spotting the right side. Usually the pocket soldier. You can shoot down onto it. Of course, my projectiles are arced, but whatever. Shoot down there, splash people, try to delay them for as long as possible. Once the enemy team starts coming in, you do not want to send a soldier onto them. If you send a soldier sack onto the enemy team, like a roamer jumps in onto this enemy medic, sure, you might get the force, but now your team is in a 5 versus 6 situation. And in the case that you did not get the force, well, it's still even Ubers, but your team is in a 5 versus 6 situation. You also have a longer respawn time. I think it's like 20 seconds or something. And this medic will probably be expecting it. He's looking at the airspace, he sees you coming, turns the corner, and then your jump was useless. Anyways, what your team wants to do is bait them closer to the point into an Uber exchange. Ideally, you would only Uber on your demo man. He is probably the best defensive class for holding the point, and you want to solo it onto him. Everyone else should be playing back in a position where they will not die / take very little damage. And then once Ubers are over, everyone comes back in. Now it's like a second mid-fight, and whoever has better DM usually wins. What they're planning to do is walk forward as much as they can and take a solo exchange on their scout. So your explosive classes want to just spam down onto them, try to pressure them to use as early as possible. That way your Uber is gonna be a lot better. And again, soldier on the roofs, you're not holding those spots, you're just spotting areas, trying to delay them, jump away once you're being pressured. Alright. So that's defending when things are even. If you have significant advantage, like Uber advantage, then you can go into what's called a bunker hold. When you bunker on this map, you place your medic in your house, you have your demo man trap the front, like this, just place traps all along it. You got your pocket soldier... No. You got your pocket soldier guarding back door, so he's just in this area making sure no one can come in through back door. And if you have a soldier here, this would be the roamer, he would be guarding the front door. Usually your roamer and flank scout are going to be on your roof, and then, well, I guess these two scouts are interchangeable. You have your remaining scout near your demo man so that if the people coming in jump your demo, your scout can help them. So it's going to be like medic, pocket soldier backdoor, trap in the front, people on your roof, and then a scout to protect your demo man. Alright, so this trap right here, you will use it to kill the first person that comes, and then once he dies, just place a new trap. Anyone else who comes there, same thing, just dead onto them. You're not going to save it for anyone special, it's just first come, first serve gets your trap. Alright, so that's the bunker hold. You would go into this position, again, on massive Uber advantage, and you are expecting them to do what's called a 4-man sack. That's where they send in their demo man, both soldiers, and their flank scout to try to kill or force your medic. So this is one of the safest arrangements for your medic to not get forced or killed. Alright. And if you are feeling very ballsy, then you can go into a forward hold onto this map. The forward hold is where, change color, there we go. You have a soldier, doesn't matter which one, watching the top left. Another soldier, not there. That button, do this, do that. Another soldier watching main, kind of like on the boxes. You got your medic kind of in the entrance to saw. That way they can still reach your soldier if they need to. They can reach your demo man if he's over here. Scout nearby. Usually that's the pocket scout. And then demo man is on the very right side, placing a trap on the very right door. Then you have a flank scout with him to protect your demo. This is the very forward hold on clear cut. You would only ever do this if the enemy team wiped and you have amazing damage and you're just like, fuck it, we're just gonna hold this area now. So wherever they come in from the left or middle, both of your soldiers want to be spamming those areas. If they're on the left, then both of your soldiers want to be spamming hard on the left. Try to bully them out because you have advantage, right? If they're coming from main, both soldiers, again, spam hard main. You want to trust that your demo man can hold the right side door. When anyone dies, or anyone says, let's get out of this hold, everyone leaves the hold. No one should ever be in this area without team support, especially if one of your players is dead, right? How you want to leave as medic is just go through saw with your scout, now you're back on point. Everyone else, they have amazing movement capabilities. They should be able to like rocket jump, sticky jump, double jump away. It's just important that you get your medic out if anyone is feeling not confident in the hold. Alright. So any questions about the middle hold, bunker, or forward hold on this map? Okay. Then we will talk about what happens when we are on disadvantage. So our medic got forced because their 4-man worked, or our medic died somehow and the enemy team has some sort of advantage. How you want to set up for that? Demo man is probably going to be playing our side of the map, has a trap somewhere that he can see it. You got maybe a soldier scout on your roof, soldier scout somewhere else, maybe near your demo man, and your medic, if he's alive, is playing back, building with a scout. Wherever they come in from, you can also have your soldier on their roof if you want. Wherever they come in from, you're going to be spamming hard, trying to pressure them, maybe slow them down, maybe force them. But if nothing is working, they're just bullying their way through, then just like on 5CP, you send in your roamer to jump in, try to force their medic. Everyone else should live, right? So if your roamer is hiding in the corner over there, and it's called that they're pushing in from the left, then your roamer can just jump forward, land on the medic, try to force him. Ideally, you land on some sort of high ground, though. And it's just like 5CP, right? You're on disad, your roamer goes in, try to force them. Then everyone else lives, you re-push back in with your uber advantage. Anyways. So that's what happens when you're on disad. Now we're going to talk about what happens when you don't own the point and you're trying to push back into it. So the first thing that I'll talk about is the 4-man sack. This is when your medic is very far behind on uber percent. Like you're on 80 something disad or whatever. Your medic and scout are going to be building in main far back, but before that, you want to be healing your people who are sacking to potentially full overheal, right? You want to give them as much health as you can before they go in to kill themselves. After they go in, then your scout and medic just play back. If it goes well, then you walk forward. If it goes poorly, then you just go back to spawn. That's why you're staying here in main rather than just immediately going back to spawn. These 4 people, you have options for how you want to go in. Traditionally, right, you're just going in any way you can, and you should expect them to be bunkering. So like Demoman could be jumping forward, maybe like scattering stickies here, shooting into the house, whatever. Soldiers have a few different ways they can jump in. One way is on the top left here on bats. You have this high wall you can jump off of. 1, 2, you go pretty high. You can land backdoor, shoot onto the medic. Pocket soldier, or any soldier really, you can do a jump here, where I showed you the one to get behind, you just swerve around, get onto the medic, whatever. The flank scout, you want to use your explosive classes as a distraction. So as your explosive classes are jumping into the air and people are looking at them, you are going to try to take a sneaky route. Try to get in without being seen and get onto someone. If the demo man's free, sure, go for him. If there's no traps here, sure, go inside the house, get onto the medic, whatever. But definitely you do not want to go in first, because if you are spotted, your chances of getting onto the medic dwindle. Thus, like, a soldier jumping forward here, everyone's looking at him, he's in the sky, then as flank scout, you just walk across point, then get onto someone. Alright. So that's just the we're gonna go in now kind of thing. Usually someone calls a time, like maybe main caller says, alright, everyone go in at 1:38, and then once 1:38 hits on the clock on the bottom, everyone goes in. A different approach to this is taking ground first as a team, trying to like make a fake push, and maybe force their team into a more favorable position for your team. So what that might look like is your combo pushes up in Valley here. Your demo man is like shooting stickies to get anyone off of your roof. Your soldier is just walking forward. Maybe I failed the jump. Maybe taking your roof very passively, and the rest of your like team is getting in somewhere. Maybe you have everyone over here, whatever. And you are trying to take space first. Bait them maybe into coming out of bunker if they're doing that. So maybe their medic goes backdoor, like, hey, they're doing some sort of fake push, or sorry, they don't know that. Maybe they're doing some sort of push. Let's get into a position where I can actually Uber onto people. Then once he comes out, then you guys can go in for your format, right? But usually that's not going to happen. Usually they just remain in the bunker. And when that happens, Demo Man, just trap the doorway. That way their medic can't come from the front. Or you can trap the front of the point so no one can walk across point for free. Then you might have like your flank scout edging the cap, trying to put pressure onto the capture point before you go in for the format. So you're just trying to put continuous pressure onto the enemy team here. Once they like break apart somehow, they're like putting themselves in bad spots, then you guys can jump in together. Or if that's like too complicated, you guys don't have that much brain capacity, once you take space, like you're this far forward, it's a lot easier to just jump in from this point rather than all the way back in main. So whatever your team wants to do is good. I do recommend though that your combo walks up right side, get people off of your roof, and then plan your 4-man sack. Your medic, when this happens, if your team does this, should never commit in. He should never be in a position where he'll die if the enemy team uses Uber. So as your combo's walking up right side, your medic needs to be playing very cautious and ready to leave. Like, sure, heal up people for last second buffs, but as soon as they like turn this corner, that's when you back off. You never want to be caught in as medic during a planned 4-man sack. You just jump back or walk back to main with your pocket scout, continue building. Alright. So that's sacking in. Any questions about that 4-man sack? Alright. So once you have Uber, there's two situations. Like, you were building Uber in main here, now you have it. There's two things that could have happened. Your 4-man sack succeeded, and now you're on Uber ad, or your 4-man stacks have failed and it's still even Ubers. We're going to talk about that latter situation first, where everything is even. There's two ways to push. Or I guess there's three, but usually you don't go through main. Saw, I mean. You either go from the very left or from the very right. People call this kill box, like I mentioned earlier in the video. It's very easy to die to like traps or a bunch of soldier spam, so you gotta get through this area quickly if you're coming through it. If you're a scout or soldier coming through here, turn around, see if there's any traps, anyone above. You clear it, that's good, then your medic walks through immediately, right? So how you choose which way to go through is dependent on how your team wants to play. If your team is very aggressive and you just want to use the Uber immediately onto them, then typically you go through left. Because left is going to be the fastest route to get onto the enemy team. You see, if you go right side, you have to like cross horizontally here, versus coming left, you just go straight across. So the plan here, if you take your combo left with your Uber, in either case, by the way, you're trying to take a solo exchange on your pocket scout. So you get your combo through this area. Your soldier and demo man should still be playing passive. They do not want to be in a position where they'll be caught if the enemy team uses Uber. So your explosive classes are playing back, and your scout and medic are the ones walking across point. If you go through trench, this is the most direct path onto the enemy medic. However, it's also directly below an enemy soldier, right? So even though this is the fastest, most direct path to take an solo exchange, it's also the most dangerous because, pipes coming this way, soldiers shooting down onto you. You got to be careful if you go through the trench route. If you go from in front of the point, you're a bit further away from the enemy team, but your medic isn't going to take as much damage walking across. The point here is you want to walk across towards the enemy medic as much as you can before using Uber. It's okay to use at any point in time. Right? Your medic's getting pressured or something, maybe your scout's weak. Just use Uber even though it's not in that good of a spot yet. Use your Uber to walk across the point, try to force their medic. That's all you're trying to do with this exchange. Solo Uber across, try to force their medic, and then you back off. Of course, if you can, with the remaining amount of Uber, try to make their medic flash people, that's also really good. So you like force their medic, he's only using it on his demo man, maybe there's like a scout nearby, you shoot the scout, he flashes the scout, that's good stuff. But otherwise, you got the Ubers out of the way, you guys back up to your side of the point, and you take it like another mid-fight. Your flank, same idea here. Oh, that's the wrong color. Your flank is playing a bit passive because they don't want to be in a position where they're going to die to the enemy's Uber. So once Uber exchange is happening, like your roamer is playing safe or whatever, and then once the Uber exchange is over, it's another mid-fight. Take position, maybe shoot down onto people, double bomb across, whatever. Whoever does the most damage typically wins. So that's the left side push. It's going to be kind of the same on right side. You bring your combo up valley, so something like that, and you got your flank over there. Your demo man, again, shooting people off of your roof, and then maybe your pocket soldier takes this area passively. And you have two different routes to take. You just walk across point from the front, or you can go through your back door. That way, you're kind of concealing your plan a little bit, and then you're trying to get as much distance as possible before using around this corner. But it's the same idea. Solo with your scout across point, make them use Uber, get the exchange out of the way, then it's another mid-fight. And same idea for the rest of your team. Play in a position where you will not die to the enemy's Uber. So if you're playing this far forward, enemy team Uber is right here, you're probably going to die. You want to jump back in after Ubers are out of the way. During the Uber exchange, just like the initial mid-fight, a soldier can bomb behind them. You bomb behind, maybe you pull a couple people back, maybe you don't, whatever. But you're in a position where post-Uber, you're able to jump in from behind, get onto the combo or whoever the target is with your team walking forward. It really, when your soldier bombs behind, it really relies on your combo being able to hold their position without you. Because you jumping behind puts your team in a 5 versus 6 situation. So if your team isn't able to reliably do that, then going behind is probably not the play for your team. Alright, so that's pushing back in. Yeah, and then rinse and repeat. Are there any questions about pushing, or are there any questions about anything I've talked about? Well, if there's no questions, then that's it. I have nothing else to talk about on Clear Cut. Alright.
Simple, just win, right?
Yeah, like in my opinion, for the lower levels, it's just all about double bombs and whoever does more damage. If you lack damage, you're probably going to lose. Alright, well, I don't see any questions in classroom chat. That's going to be the end of this video. Thanks for coming to the map talk.